Hey, how y'all doing, guys? This is Nate, Brennan, and Chris. We're back.
What's going on? We are back.
Hola,
We're back.
my Spanish for today.
I appreciate it. Uh,
Hola.
uh,
So I think
Well,
just kind of as normal of a conversation as we can have. Um, we all have personal lives. We all have careers and professions. So apologies that we have not been uh, putting out videos in regards to comic book movies and movies in general. But despite all the things going on in our personal life, I think there's also another reason why we really haven't been addressing some of the movies that um, have been out over the last, I don't know, 6, 8 months. Um, I would say a lot of that is also, I'm sorry, I'm getting a call, guys. A lot of that is probably also in regards to the fact that it just hasn't been really all that satisfying. There really hasn't been anything of noteworthy to talk about and say, man, like this was amazing, this was great, and I think the points that are amazing and were great will will get to that, but far few in between. Maybe there's
mm-hmm.
been maybe just kind of some half-assed attempts at some characters. There have been some subpar performances by um, maybe some characters and storylines that simply put, have just been disappointing. Um, I
for
think
sure.
that's another reason, just that that we haven't really been putting out the type of material and the in-depth reviews because, simply put, a lot of that shit has just been trash. So I'm
It
gonna
has
get right
Truth.
to it.
Absolute fucking garbage.
It's just been trash.
it
Um,
hasn't
Bruh.
been good. It
it
definitely hasn't.
hasn't lived up to the standards. It damn sure hasn't lived up to the hype. The damn sure hasn't lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just kind of going to go first, and I guess I'll probably start with. Well, I'll let you guys go first. Tell me, 2022, right? Let's just dive back into it. When were you? What was your first big disappointment?
My first.
Marvel, DC, whoever.
All right, first is my first big. I mean, don't. I mean, I'll start with Marvel. So first disappointment of DV started with DC. like,
Okay.
but or I can say I didn't get excited for DC. To start getting disappointed in DC started off disappointed.
So
But
so hang on. I just want a little more context, right? So give me the name, movie, show, series, whatever. Give me what your initial thoughts were, right? Give me why you went into it hype, and then tell me where it maybe all went wrong, why you were disappointed.
I gotcha.
Go.
I mean, I could now. So in terms of what kind of it started going wrong with me, so we'll start with Marvel here. Combination of Thor: Love and Thunder and She-Hulk, where the I still enjoyed Multiverse of Madness. I enjoyed the nod to the multiverse characters, like them having Fantastic Four and the X-Men and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. I thought that was a decent movie. It wasn't the best movie of no, but I thought it was a decent movie still. No, Thor: Love and Thunder is one of those stories where if you didn't have the proper characters to do the story, there are plenty of other Thor stories that you could have did.
Mm.
And having Gore the God Butcher not really even be Gore the God Butcher, not have the key part that made him Gore the God Butcher, which is the all black necro sword and all that, because y'all don't have rights to it. Just do something else.
So let me ask you this question, Nate. when you found out Gore the God Butcher was going to be the main bad guy, how'd you feel? How'd you react?
I was super
Enjoyed.
excited. I was excited because I was like, "Hey, we're gonna get the God Butcher story arc, which was one of the dopest arcs in Marvel comic and like the Marvel comic like run. Like it's a really cool story. So for us to really actually not get any of that story, pretty much like you didn't get a future,
Okay.
past, and present Thor. You didn't get an all black Necrosaur. You didn't get to see Thor go into the future where everything's all where Gore's already succeeded in killing all the gods. Like you didn't get to see none of that. There was none of that in this. Like
Yeah, that was definitely a huge disappointment. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, since you got none of that story. He was Gore in name only, and I'm just like
Yeah.
like
Name only.
he was
That's a good way to put it. That is a great way to put it.
That was actually a fantastic way to put it. I'm not even gonna lie.
like my man was just ashy Christian Bale, and that just didn't get it done for me. Like
So that was your first big disappointment.
yeah, that was
Right.
like the very first one that did it, mainly because that was like really that was like the Gore the God Butcher is still one of my favorite comic book
That's
like,
something you were looking
yeah,
forward
like
to.
yeah,
Right?
so like
Something
that's
you
like
were
like dang, you did it to one of the ones I really really like. How could you?
right.
And then from there, I thought Wakanda Forever was decent. I actually like Wakanda Forever. But then what's it called? I haven't really watched anything else since then.
All right. So hang on. Let's just pause. I want to hear what Brennan have to say. We'll kind of do negatives, positives, right? Brennan,
Yep.
what was your first big disappointment? Marvel, DC, whatever, wherever you want to go, and just kind of tell me what had you excited about it, and essentially how you were let down.
This one's actually pretty easy for me. So the one that I was really excited for that eventually ended up letting me down was Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Now, I felt like since like maybe like Endgame or Infinity War, this had to have been like the most hype movie like coming into it. Like, I don't know if anyone else felt like that, if you guys felt like that or not, but I personally felt like that. Like, it felt like, every movie was like, oh, like, it was leading up to, like, oh, we had WandaVision. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of multiverse of madness. Like, Loki, there's gonna be a lot of multiverse of, like, this is where it's all gonna come together and
I hear you on
change
that.
the whole, like, his, like, course of Marvel history, right? And I didn't feel like it delivered at all, honestly. I didn't feel like it delivered on what they were making it seem like. And I mean, there's a number of reasons for that, but I just felt like back to kind of like what you said at the beginning, Chris. Like I felt like it was overhyped, and that's probably what led to down. But also, it just felt off because, like, for one, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you wouldn't even really understand the entire driving force of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, and I know I was like in theaters, and I was like, okay, I kind of understand, but majority of everyone wouldn't really get it. Also, even if you watched WandaVision, you still wouldn't also really get it because yes, like Wanda had the Darkhold at the end, but you wouldn't really expect her to have been evil after that. Like she just straight up went off course. Like you were just kind of like, wait, what? It just didn't feel like the continuity was there, and just not delivering on the hype, honestly. So I feel like that was like my first disappointment, and like that's when I kind of started to see a difference in Marvel. And another thing that I also noticed, and like this, I'll touch on this in another movie, is I feel like Marvel has been trying to save their lack of plot with like the fan service of like bringing certain characters into their movies. Like, I'm not saying like I don't know. I just like obviously they had the Fantastic Four, they had other members of like the Illuminati in the movie, like, and I felt like that was supposed to be like, oh yeah, like it's a good movie, right? Like we have these people in it, and it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, like we love seeing those people, like those characters, like, but like it just didn't feel like it fit, I guess. Like you just had Wanda going up against the Illuminati and just like completely roasting all of them. Like it just, I don't know. It just felt like they were trying to do like it was nice that they're trying to do the fan service there, but it just felt off. And like, there's another movie that I feel like they did that with, but also, it was more fitting, and I felt like it was overall good. But that's kind of like my main disappointment. I think for Marvel is my first one. Yeah.
For me, I'm going to say it was that I'm trying to think back to how the series lined up with the movies, and if I'm not mistaken, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I thought those all essentially had some weight to them.
For
But,
sure.
I think coming out of the theater to, Spider-Man No Way Home and having that sense like, yo, like, even with some of the fanfare, the fan service stuff, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Like
the
it was a good movie. It was a good movie. There was some depth. There was some emotion. The ending, that twist with him,
for
I'm
sure.
like,
Yeah.
man, you know what I mean? And then you kind of have, if I'm not mistaken, I think Doctor Strange was the next big movie after that, and
Mm-hmm.
It
you
was.
already kind of had talks about the multiverse and all this kind of stuff. And then the trailer dropped, right? That
Mm,
trailer dropped. There was a couple of them. There was the one with Wanda, right? She's in it. And then you get this trailer where you hear this word Illuminati and like the internet breaks. They're like, you know what I mean?
right.
And again, Sam Raimi's doing it, right? We know the name Sam Raimi. We hear the term or the phrase that, hey, this is going to be Marvel's attempt at like an all out horror movie, which I was all about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And coming out of it, I was like, you guys have heard me say it. This was literally just a sequel to the WandaVision series, and all that
It didn't
fan
even feel like
service,
Doctor Strange's movie.
it did not at all. Like
It did.
I don't know what, and I think, and I want to talk about some of the series, but like to me, Spider-Man, I think, was supposed to lead into Doctor Strange, and like I don't know where like I don't know where we're left. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's leading into, and I think that's something that Marvel did well for so long was everything was set up for something else. You know what I mean?
I actually want to second that, Chris, because like I feel like I haven't watched like I'll say I have not watched Ant Man, the most recent Ant Man, but um, based off of like the most recent movies, I'll put Black Panther aside because I feel like it wasn't really meant to connect. But the last couple movies, I really don't feel like any of them connect. Like I feel like Spider Man, like the way it ended. Obviously, you have like Tony, like no, sorry, not Tony, Peter Parker, like everyone kind of forgetting that he's like exists as Spider, or that he is Spider Man essentially. So like that's like something else that he has to deal with. And then you have the Doctor Strange, like that just seems separate from the Thor and Love and Thunder stuff. Like nothing seems like they connect at all. And like you're saying, like
Right.
that was different back in like when the previous Marvel movies, because everything always led to each other in one way, shape, or form. And maybe it does somehow, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I feel like everyone forgetting that Peter Parker is Spider Man, like that's just no one's gonna ever know that he even exists really anymore. So he's just gonna have
Right.
his own solo thing that he has going on. Thor is like traveling the galaxy fighting with Gore's daughter. He's not even gonna be involved with anything else, and we don't know if Wanda's alive or not. And I don't know. It just seems scattered. It seems a little scattered, but
Yeah. I mean, I'll even kind of like ask you this. Phase 4. There was a lot. There was the movies, and then there was the series. How did you guys feel about that sort of lack thereof, maybe connectivity between, or even if it was, tell me. You know what I mean? Like if you
So
think a series connected really
I
well
felt like Phase 4
with the movie.
started off really strong, like because WandaVision and Loki and all those things all seemed like they were kind of leading into kind of like the same thing. They all seemed like they were kind of connected. And then after Spider-Man Far From Home is literally when all that stuff seemed like it was connecting. Literally seemed like it all just fell apart because it didn't seem like any of it actually connected to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Ant-Man yet, so I don't know. I know they said Kang makes his appearance in that, like,
Mm-hmm.
outside of Loki. And then Secret War is supposed to happen, and I forget that show's supposed to happen, and then or is it Secret War or Secret Invasion? That's supposed to be the
Secret
series.
Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Is it gonna be the series? Okay.
I believe that's the next series.
Yeah. When's that? Like, hopefully, Phase Fast or kind of reining things back in, or they start reaching from some of this stuff in Phase 4 and start kind of reining it back in to like make it make sense. Cause like right now there's a bunch of like stuff that's just like I don't understand.
So,
The Time Police have never been brought into a question ever again since the
Who's
shit
that?
has started. The Time Police have not been brought into like
the,
from Loki show. Yeah.
Yeah, TVA.
Yeah, where they have not been in a thing since like that show. Like where have these?
I'm assuming we'll see that in the second season of Loki. I would imagine.
Like yeah, we haven't even seen like anything with Loki or anything. Like we haven't seen like a little cameo or nothing since the end of his show, and that's been how long ago now? Like even in like the Multiverse of Madness and stuff like that, like they didn't.
So here's something I want to I know they're the Infinity Story, you know what I mean, the Infinity Stones. What was the first stone that was coined the Infinity Stone? This will make sense here in a second. You guys remember which one was it? Where it was called the Infinity Stone?
Oh, probably not the Tesseract. It was probably
No, it wasn't the Tesseract.
Maybe the Ether.
Maybe.
Maybe. And Thor,
Maybe.
Thor: The Dark World, maybe.
Maybe. So when you heard that, like you knew what was coming, right? I still don't, this whole multiverse thing, and I still think to this day that depiction of the multiverse in the last two episodes of Loki has still been the clearest cut, kind of like definitive what the multiverse is. They talked somewhat about it. I don't like the way they did it in Doctor Strange.
Me either. I did not like how they did.
I don't, because it made it seem like it was under control and whatever, and it's clearly not. And I think He Who Remains, his sort of definition of it just seemed to be the clearest. So now we've had a couple of movies in regards to the multiverse, and I just still think like the concept is unclear. So like, and relate it back to Infinity Stones because it was clear. We knew that more stones were going to pop up. We knew where it was leading to. I don't know where this multiverse is.
I don't know either.
No,
Here's the thing.
I know the story they're going to want to tell. Secret Wars. I understand that story.
And I remember Kang, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I hate to say it, but for them to get into the Secret Wars and stuff, like, somehow the Beyonders got to start getting in here somewhere, somehow. And, like, or do they, like, I don't know, like, but, like, Doom still has to appear somewhere, like.
So you were talking about Thor, right?
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in that movie statues of the Living Tribunal, the Watchers, and Eternity was in the movie.
Yep.
And it was just like all that just stopped at the end of that movie. Like, hold on, wait. You're just going to glance over all this, like they're not a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and Brendan, when you said like, I'm like, okay, was that just to shut some of us up? You know what I mean? Like, was that just to shut some of us up?
Just dangle the shiny keys. Look, Tribunal, Living Tribunal. There you go. All right.
You know what I mean? Like I just what like those characters are important. Those characters are a thing. Like, what are y'all doing with them?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. Right. And yeah, I mean that's like I don't know. That's kind of like one of my biggest issues with them is just kind of like I don't know. I guess I feel like they're glossing over things that they could go more in depth into, or that, and just the fact that things aren't connecting as much. Like even like I mean, I'm excited to see this movie, but the Guardians of the Galaxy, like obviously at the end of Endgame, like Gamora lost her memory, and like are they gonna explore that? Like it's the last movie, so like are they gonna tie in with anything that's going on? But like you said, Chris, like I don't really know what the end goal is. I'll be honest.
I don't know where the Guardians of the Galaxy fit in anymore. I don't.
I was just thinking I don't know where they
I
fit in
know like this whole Adam Warlock thing. Like now that the whole Infinity Gauntlet story is done, who cares? He should have been there before Infinity Gauntlet. And anyone who's read that story knows Adam Warlock
His greatest enemy is gone already.
right. You know what I mean?
Who's he fighting now?
Oh,
Maybe they're gonna bring.
Don't worry.
They'll bring it.
We have Sky Fox, so we should be good.
Right. Right.
Okay. Don't worry. We got
Oh.
Thanos and little brother.
Hopefully, with the multiverse theory, they bring in his evil afro having version, and not get canceled for doing that. Cause that'd be great. I'd appreciate it if they did that.
You know,
What is his afro version called? The Miz or something like that? Like where he becomes
The Miz, like the red the Miz.
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Like.
like
Oh
I got this. I feel like there was more things that made sense dealing with the multiverse. I'm assuming that's kind of what that series was based on, the concept of what if. You had all these different possibilities. Like that shit made more sense than like what we're seeing right now in regards to the multiverse.
For sure. For sure.
And that was done. You know, I don't. And yeah, I mean, I saw Ant-Man. I don't want to give anything away. I mean, even that story is kind of self-contained to where it touches upon things.
Mm.
But you said something, Brennan, earlier, and I know you said it off camera once we talked before. You had to watch the WandaVision series to understand what was going on in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I'm pretty sure you got to watch Loki to understand what the hell is going on in the Ant-Man movie, Quantumania. Because they're like, who? And I'm like, I get it. It's all about checks, you know what I mean, and cash. I get that.
Right.
But like, I'm sure there was a whole bunch of people in the theater with me going, who in the hell is he? Who is he?
Right, for sure.
Who is he and why does he matter?
Right, and like I get it, like I get that if you want to stay in touch with what you like, you have to follow it in every way you can. But I don't know. I just feel like there were people throughout the years who only saw the movies ever. Like they would just know, oh wait, so there's this like how like back in the day when like Marvel used to come out with like 2 movies a year. It was like, oh, like okay,
and it was
like,
they had to get all that information there so people,
and then everyone was like, oh yeah, this is the Marvel movie that's coming out this year, guys. Let's go see it. And like you would still see the same faces from the previous movie. You'd know like, okay, this is what's going on. But like now you just can't be the casual fan. If you're casual, you're gonna be lost. Like you're not gonna like really.
So this will make sense. I feel like a lot. I'll compare the way I feel about Clone Wars and Rebels and being a Star Wars fan to probably a lot of ways that Marvel fans feel who like didn't watch the series. Like they're lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, wait, do I have to go back and watch all of this to understand this now?
See, that's a.
Ooh, I'm a Rebel watcher. How could you? You hitting rate in the Rebel. How could you?
Brandon, I've always thanked you because you told me, Chris, you just need to watch this.
Yeah.
You just need to watch this. Okay? But, like, with all that material out there, to get that appreciation for what's happening or what happened or whatever, I feel like, man, I got to go back and watch 7-8 years of shit. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know. Star Wars, though, I feel like Star Wars is a little bit different. Only because, like, I don't know, they don't really come out with movies anymore. Like they're just like like
You know, you're right. They don't have as many movies.
They're just like, listen, our series is
They
like,
haven't made a movie since like what?
the last sequels.
2001.
Yeah. What was? Yeah, like the prequel. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2001.
Yeah.
So speaking of series, I want to ask you guys this question. So, there's going to be more series and things like that. Like, do you think the series, and so, well, what's your point? Just that anticipation and excitement of going to see the next movie. Do you think the series has done more harm than good? Do you think there's
Yes,
some benefit to it? Go ahead, Nate.
I think they've done more harm than good because they've had too many at once. I think if they could find a little bit of a better balance where they slow down the release, I think they could be an enjoyable, extra part of just the Marvel universe. But they were doing in Phase 4, and this kind of, I guess this is the first phase where they really had so many shows. Like they did too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
see, I second exact. I think I agree with you, Nate. I think they did more
harm than good.
I do, and I don't really think it's their fault necessarily. Like, I knew this was something that was coming, but I feel like with COVID happening, like they just didn't really have a choice. They're just like, okay, well, like let's just come out with these series and like try to try to get them to consume some content while they can't go to the movie theater. And for the time that it was coming out, it was good. Like, it was great. Like, we loved it. The WandaVisions, the Winter Soldiers, like the Lokis that came out. But again, like whenever you could go back into theaters, they're still releasing a bunch of series, and then there's releasing movies. And I think it did like contribute to a little bit of like an overload. And then because of like all the projects they're working on, like you start to see like a lack of quality. Like, I felt like WandaVision, Winter Soldier, and Loki had like great quality. Like, I really do. Like, I feel like that was a Marvel movie.
Do you think they could have been movies?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Well, maybe not like. I think they could have been maybe not Loki, because I feel like Loki was too short. But I really feel like WandaVision and Winter Soldier could have been movies. I really do.
Okay.
They were really that good to me. They're really that good to me.
yeah.
But I think just like because of all the content coming out, like it's now like people start going back to theaters, so the movies are coming out now. They're being produced, and now the series are also trying to be produced. I feel like there's starting to be like a little bit of lack of quality. Like with She-Hulk, for example, like that was like such a low quality production by Marvel that like you're not used to seeing that from them. But like I feel like it's because they never had to worry about pumping out series and pumping out movies at the same time. Like before it was just movies. COVID came along, they just focused on series. The first couple series were great. And then now like movies and series, Secret Wars, like She-Hulk, like like She-Hulk and like a bunch of other things that are coming out during the movies, and I feel like that kind of caused the series to not be as good, and then also like caused like a little bit of like an overload. That's like my opinion. I don't know, but
okay. Are there any movies that you would have? And I want to switch gears here in a second. But Nate, Brennan, are there any movies? And I have one I know for a fact. But are there any movies you would have rather seen it be a series than a movie? You thought there could have
Multiverse
been
of Madness.
done. What'd you say?
Multiverse of Madness.
Tell me why.
Because
swap
you could actually.
Multiverse of WandaVision.
Because you could have actually. I mean, that's actually not a bad idea. But because there's so much more they could have actually explored within multiverse, definitely just from that one scene alone where they were, traveling through all the ones, in different styles and stuff like that. There's so much more they could have did with that than what they did in the movie. They didn't really travel to very many multiverses in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do a lot with it. They could even did a lot more with their one character. What is it called? America, whatever her name is. Yeah.
America Chavez.
Yeah. They could have done more with her in a series and expanded her character a bit more.
Sure.
With a series than what they got.
Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, honestly, I think I also agree with that. I feel like you could have probably made Doctor Strange a series, because again, like I didn't feel like it was about Doctor Strange. I'll be honest. Like it kind of felt like it was. It just felt like it was WandaVision. I mean, like if you made WandaVision honestly, just Wanda, because we don't know where Vision is. They just kind of like gone now, and we haven't seen him. We don't know what's happening with him.
Right.
But like they should have just made it like Wanda, and like because I felt like she was on screen more than probably Doctor Strange was. Like I feel like if you did make that a series, it would have been fine, you know. But you know, I feel like the movies were always so hyped. So and like all the hype that came into Doctor Strange, you expect it to be hype, but I feel like it just wasn't. I feel like WandaVision was more hype. The way it started out,
Mhm.
and
Yo,
that
man,
world,
that trailer,
man,
that,
like
that that trailer, holy hell!
one of the best things that came out. Like it was to start off like this like sitcom, transition it back into reality. That was so clean. I feel like if
That
they
was
could have,
really good.
that was like one of the best concepts. So I think yeah, Doctor Strange could have probably been like a series, honestly.
I think for me there are two movies, and then I want to switch gears here. Um, I think I don't think it was a terrible movie, but I would have loved to have seen the character development in a series with the Eternals. I would have loved to have seen that. All
Yeah,
those characters essentially getting their own kind of episode, backstory, how it ties into the MCU. I think you could have done so much more with that, and I think that would have kind of gave them maybe some sort of purpose or context to their purpose in the MCU because they have one. It was just glossed over so damn fast. And then I think Thor: Love and Thunder, because Nate, you could have had your Gore the God story, the true backstory. You could have dove into,
give him a movie.
you know what I mean, the movie. Another thing that I thought was just so, it was glossed over so fast in Thor: Love and Thunder was the concept of the gods now being in the MCU. We saw it all at Moon Knight. We have this huge. We see Zeus. We see and like, okay, are they still there? Like, where? You know what I mean?
Mm,
There's the end trailer or credits where he introduces his son Hercules. Like, you could have really just tied in like just how the gods fit into the MCU. You know what I mean? Who they really are, I mean, you have, Thor, you have Odin. How hell have Odin and Zeus ever met? You know what I mean? Just something like that. You know what I mean? And you do it with an actor with Russell Crowe. Here's another fanfare, and you throw him away. It
yeah,
amounted to nothing.
yeah. He literally, it was like more of like a joke scene than it was
Yeah,
actually like.
you could have did an episode just on Valkyrie and how she's running New Asgard and the kids and how, you know what I mean, just all that kind of stuff. How they're seen on Earth, these Asgard, you know what I mean, just all that
Mm,
kind of stuff. So I
for
think
sure.
those would have been two. I want to switch gears here because we do talk about comic book movies, and we have yet to mention DC and how they've disappointed us so many times.
Yeah.
But let's just talk recently. Let's just talk recently, because not everything's been terrible. But it's hard to find wins with DC. Let's just be honest. It's hard. I mean, coming out of the Snyder Cut a couple years ago, like, and I'll just say Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix, Joker. It's hard to find some wins.
For sure.
Um, how'd you guys feel about Batman? Is that a win? Would you guys say that's a win? Thumbs up,
Nope.
thumbs down? What do you think?
Nope. Not for me, at least.
No, I'm
No.
not.
Okay. So we kind of talked about how
No.
Marvel has disappointed us, right?
Yeah.
What does DC need to do
So
to redeem themselves? Go ahead, Brent.
DC, what they need to do is they need to stop coming out with these movies. Nate's make, Nate's laughing.
Nate's laughing already.
It's making me laugh.
Laugh already.
They need to. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they
Stop
need to
coming out
stop.
with okay.
Yeah.
No.
No,
All right, man.
he did the right sentence.
Okay, cool.
All right.
No.
Nate's killing me. Sorry. So Nate's killing me. So they need to stop coming out with these movies of the same characters. Like, what made Marvel so successful was that like you could attach Chris Evans to Captain America, Chris Hemsworth to Thor. Like, who is the Batman of the DC universe? Like, who is that character? Like the actor instead of like three different actors. You know what I mean? They need to have one and one actor for like each person, and like stick stick with that instead of like replacing them constantly. But no, but like what they really need though, if they want to be like the MCU, in my opinion, they need to establish like their story, like their timeline, their like what is the universe for DC, like cinematic universe, that is. Like none of them really relate to each other. I mean, the most that related to each other again was like the Justice League, but none of those characters are really going to return ever again, except for, unfortunately, Ezra Miller, the worst of them all. But like, and I guess Jason Momoa. But like,
Lobo now.
What is?
He's Lobo
Huh?
now. He's Lobo now. He's a new character.
That's right. Like who? Like what is the universe? Like establish your universe, and establish your people that represent that universe. Stop replacing them, and deviate to all the other characters that you have in that universe. Like there is no established universe. Like there is none. Like you can't say like, oh, this person's dead in this universe, because like they could show up as another person in another movie.
They've
like,
never watched Justice League Unlimited. They don't know that there's like 100-something heroes, hundreds of heroes.
So Nate, I'm gonna let you go. I just want to say something to you, what you just said, Brendan.
Yeah.
There is an established DC universe. It's just known as the Arrowverse on CW.
That's true. You're right, and that's the universe that I actually that's the one I'm familiar with, because
That's their best. That's their best one.
That's the one that worked. That's the one that worked.
Only one that worked. Only one that worked. That was the one that
they even went back and tied in Smallville on some of those things.
They did. It was really good.
So I want to let Nate go, but I just had has that been a hindrance, I wonder, to the movies? The Arrowverse, the success they had, you know what I mean, the Stephen Amell Arrow, the Grant Gustin, you know what I mean?
That's a great question.
I always said include it, make it a thing, bring those characters in.
I mean, they did do some.
You have your Flash.
They did do some weird cameo that amounted to absolutely nothing, where Ezra Miller showed up on the Flash. CW, but they never really referenced it or did anything with it again. They just like showcase like, oh, guess what? It is actually the same universe, or it's like another multiverse or whatever. But like again, how can you establish a multiverse when your universe doesn't even exist? Like you can't have Ezra Miller show up on the Flash CW and be like, oh, it's a multiverse. Like they saw each other, but like, what is your universe? Like Ezra Miller's universe doesn't even exist. There's no other person in his universe that's actually tangible. Like, at least the CW, like. You have like Batwoman, you have, you know, like Superwoman, you have Supergirl, you have like Superman, you have like your distinguished people. Like I don't know. So
Nate, what does DC need to do or stop doing? I don't know.
What they need to stop doing is making the worst decisions imaginable for everything. Like,
go ahead.
All right, so first. You finally start getting something going. You have the Justice League. You have a team. You finally have people fire everybody except for the one person who needs fired. All right, cool. All right, recast Jason Momoa as a whole different character. You don't even keep him as Aquaman. Now he's Lobo. So now he's a whole different character, in the same continuity. But you know, why the fuck not? You know, why not? Why not? How they're going to explain it, who knows? He's just Lobo now. The shows hurt me more than anything.
Oh, go ahead.
So, a lot of the Flash is good. The later seasons of the Flash have not been super great, but they've still been pretty average. But they're not great.
It didn't hit like the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
No. I get that.
But Batwoman, whatever, was god awful. Just absolute dumpster fire. Supergirl.
They fired her too, didn't they?
Yeah, they
fired her too. What she do?
No, she quit.
She quit.
And then they fired the new chick. It was the black chick who they carried to be Batwoman.
They fired her too?
Yeah, she just got fired. Yeah, because the show was just bad. The show's bad. Like they need to do instead of firing the actors who just had to get a check. It's fire the people who are right in the garbage. Like, Superman and Lois just kind of like fizzled out. Like I don't know what happened. Like that could have
Oh,
been,
yeah.
yeah, they could have been really good, but then it just fell off.
I thought the first one was kind of cool because it just showed a different dynamic to that character. Him being a dad, raising two teenage boys. You know what I mean? I thought that was done really, really well. Him getting fired, like losing his job. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, like
Clark
doing,
Kent got to file for unemployment.
yeah, like just doing normal stuff.
Superman. You can say the world sent us over. You need you file for unemployment.
How fast can
You
you
know
fill
what I
out the
mean?
application though? Mm.
Right. You know what I mean?
Can you fill out fast and the average man fill it out? Like it's
That first episode really did grab a hold of me. Like it really did. I'm like, oh man, like this it was unique. I thought that was just, and that's why I wonder. I mean, um, Peacemaker series. It was a series, right?
Peacemaker was actually decent.
And I
Peacemaker was
wonder,
actually pretty good.
is that
He's
maybe
he's
what
still
DC
they're keeping him. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, his
I want to
character
know,
being killed.
is that what DC needs? Does DC maybe need to give up on the movies and go with the series? They had a formula that worked. The CW, yes, things have fizzled out. The character's probably old and probably run its course. But for a time period, I don't know if there was, the Arrow season
Yeah,
1, 2, and 3, Flash season. Man, that might have been the hottest shit on television.
it was for a stretch. I'm not gonna lie.
That
I mean,
might have
to
been
go,
the hottest
to
shit
go
on
9
television.
seasons is impressive. Like you don't go 9 seasons.
And um, and even how they introduced. I remember the first time you see Barry Allen in the Arrow. Like it was just how they introduced him. You know what I mean?
And they're
Um,
too.
you know, I just wonder, like, is DC, should they just go on? Like, man, we're just gonna make series. You know what I mean? We're gonna make series. And I wonder if they just did series and then you sprinkle in a Todd Phillips Joker. You sprinkle in I forget the director's name, the guy, the Robert Pattinson Batman. You know what I mean? You just do that. You know what I mean? Like stop, have your universe. You know what I mean? Be a universe on television. You know what I mean? Paramount Plus or whatever, or HBO, man. You know what I mean? Just do that. But
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, I think what they, I think TV it has been where they had success. So you might as well kind of go where you had success. Like if that's what they've been good at, or if they seem to have success, like just continue to do that. I just think they could be good at movies if they cared enough. Like honestly, like if they cared enough, they have the potential. But it just comes down to that, like you can continue to do series if you want, like that would be good. But like also like I don't know, like there's a lot of characters you could do that you could talk about. Like I would love to see a Cyborg movie or something.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
It's just so I don't know. I feel like maybe start off with shows and then try to establish your universe somehow, some way. Maybe try to have consistency with like your shows to your movies. Like I just think they're lacking consistency. I really think that's what they're lacking. Like I would way more like to see a Grant Gustin Flash movie. I guarantee you the entire theater would be like full for a Grant Gustin. Because like we would be like, oh my goodness, like yes, like the guy
most people would be okay
like,
with that. I'd be okay with that.
He's the Flash.
For sure. Like everyone sees him as a Flash, and then they're like turn around and they see this guy and they're like, who's Ezra Miller again? Like, oh, let me look him up. Oh, he's just done all this, that, and the third. Why am I watching this movie? If Grant Gustin were on the face of the Flash, like maybe have like one or two characters from the show. Maybe you have like Caitlyn in there or something, or like just some other character from the show. That I feel like the Flash movie would do fantastic. I really, 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 really do. But they just need consistency. They need consistency. But
and you guys, I've been saying it for a while now. The whole Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I thought it ran its course years ago. I'm so sick of Batman.
Same.
I don't care to see another Superman, and I don't think we'll ever see another, Wonder Woman. Like I don't care.
Same.
This might ruffle some feathers, and if you've seen the movie, you probably agree with me. I went and saw Black Adam, and I came away with two takeaways. Um, Dwayne Johnson can try as hard as he can to be somebody else, but he just simply cannot. He's the same person in every role he has. Two, to see essentially the JSA, the Justice Society, in action, and to see these other characters. Pardon the expression, but like there was like hope, and I'm just like, here you go. You got new characters, backstory. They've been around longer than this, Justice League. Tell that story. Tell the story. Do a spinoff right now. Leave Dwayne Johnson out of it. Do kind of what you did with Peacemaker, and like you did with Suicide Squad. Do a series right now. JSA, just you know what I mean. Do it prior to the meeting. Black Adam. Do a series right now. You know, story about Hawkman. Like his story is phenomenal. Dr. Fate, his story is phenomenal. Tell a story. New characters.
I didn't know that the Flash just recently ended, like the last season. Like,
I had like 6 or 7 episodes. It's done.
Yeah, done.
Oh, don't tell me what happened. I'm waiting for it to come on.
I haven't watched it.
Me neither.
I need to know.
I'm going to be sad to see it go, just because I really think that, man, for a long time, man, they had a great run. No pun intended. You know what I mean? I was sad to see Arrow go. Like, you know what I mean? Yes, it got cheesy. It did. You know what I mean? It did get cheesy. It got overly saturated. And it's like, okay, like, you got like now an everyday thug whooping Oliver Queen's ass. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like he went toe to toe with Ra's al Ghul and Deathstroke. Now, like, just the everyday thug is giving it to him. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Hey,
brother.
I took boxing at the wire. I got this. He's like,
it got a little.
He's like fast.
I think when people started to kind of leave, when Cisco left the Flash, and I think Wells left, it did kind of.
Wells left in season 7 was his last season.
Yeah, Cisco left
the season before, like
right. It was just it wasn't the same.
It felt a little off. Yeah, for sure.
It didn't feel like the Flash.
And then Iris kept getting kidnapped and gone for like majority of the season.
Yeah, that's what people. I was reading a review. Someone said, "Look, they just get rid of Iris." Yeah, like,
I love Iris. Don't get me wrong. Candice Patton, queen, love her.
Yeah.
But like, there were too many seasons back to back where she would get captured or get caught in some other universe or some mirror world where they just spent like the entire season trying to get her out. Like, I swear there was like 2 back-to-back situations where like either she had like the time sickness where there was like she had that whole thing going on, and then she was trapped in a mirror world where they had to also like try to get out. And it was like too many times it just felt like she had to be saved.
Or one where they spent the whole time trying to find a way to not die from fucking.
Oh, Savitar.
Yeah, they spent the whole season like
yeah.
How many seasons really evolved around just kind of get Iris, from not to really just not die?
Yeah,
like 4. There's only 8 seasons. You're right. That's like 50% of the time. They're just saving Iris.
There was a lot.
Even like Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, like his character just got pointless. Like, dog, you just out there running around pissed.
It did. Like, but the
fuck
like,
Mary, just
running around pissed.
It did, but I always loved when Reverse Flash was in there, though. Like, there's something about him every time he was there.
But like, what are you mad for? Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, you were mad because you were told by somebody that you would be the greatest villain of the Flash when you wanted to be a hero. What if you just decided to be a hero anyway? Maybe your weak ass mental was what caused this. Really, like, it just said you let someone get in your head that quick. Yeah, you gonna be a villain. I'm gonna be a villain. Because
overall,
even like their crossovers when they did like their Crisis series, like they were all good. Man, they brought
They
in
were.
everybody.
I like this.
Man,
I
they
like
were
the one where Supergirl in there. Like that one was actually really good.
They were.
yes. I like the one where they had Vandal Savage. It was the first big crossover, and essentially Barry Allen watched everybody die. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that one.
You know what I mean? Like he watched everybody die and had to, had to go backwards and fix everything because he saw everybody die right in front of him.
Yeah,
That was dope. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it was. No,
Um,
that whole CW
So
they,
what
they
are
were good for a
so
while.
I was
Oh,
gonna
good.
say, who does the CW have now in terms of shows now?
I don't know.
Or is DC? I about to say, or is DC kind of slowly pulling all their shows off of the CW? Kind of.
Black Lightning is he still out there?
I don't know if
I
they
think their
still.
show got canceled early, bro. I
Oh
ain't gonna
wow.
lie. I don't think
Yeah,
it
I
lasted
think
very
after
long.
season 3 it ended. I think, which I actually really liked Black Lightning. I thought it was super interesting.
There was
I love-
Supergirl. There was
Is
Lois
Supergirl
and
still
Superman.
is Super
Legends
still
of
good?
And Supergirl, man, the first couple seasons, Supergirl was good. You get Martian Manhunter, like you got a cool story with him.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, Black Lightning in the 2 years ago. Wow.
so I mean, I think,
But I'll say this: with James Gunn taking over the series,
it'll
yeah,
be interesting.
Supergirl
I
in
mean,
the
that's a lot to put on him, and I
yeah,
think,
Supergirl in the 2 years ago. But I'm just saying, it seemed like they kind of started wrapping up everything on everything else. Like they have Amazon stuff still coming out, but it seemed like they're kind of wrapping up whatever shows they had or whatever contracts they had with like other providers, and just like, all right,
wow.
yeah. No, I heard the CW is selling themselves. I think
Hey,
they.
you brought up the boys earlier before we started filming.
Yeah.
You brought up Invincible. Why are those working?
So I think part of it is that they are able to tell a far more mature story. Like you said, a lot of the Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, they started getting cheesy, and that's because I hate to say it, they're on daytime television.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to, kind of adhere to daytime television. Invincible can't be on daytime television.
Mm.
The Boys kind of can't be on daytime television.
Peacemaker can't be. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't just have, I hate to say it, kids and stuff like that just happen to come across these shows and just watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of the comic books, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, a lot of those can't really, if they were shown like how they are in the comic, can't be shown on public TV. Like, they can't. Like, they tell the stories and stuff like that, but a lot of how it's depicted and stuff can't. So in order for the people who are growing up to kind of stay in the comic books, you kind of have to start meeting them where they're at. You can't keep everything family friendly when the comic books that they even grew up on aren't all just family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
The things like them things being on the other platforms allow them to have that extra space, that extra breathing room. I feel like, to where they can be closer to comic book adaptations to what they can.
Sure.
So like Peacemaker is closer to like how it would be in like the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Invincible is straight up exactly almost ripped exactly from the comic books.
Yeah.
The Boys, obviously it's still real life, so you can't get it to be exactly like the comic books, but it's as human but as close to the comic books as it can. Like, people are still getting absolutely destroyed, and it's graphic. Like, it's closer to what people want, to what they're used to reading. And I also think it's just a breath of fresh air. People for years and years and years and years, even across Marvel, CW, DC movies and stuff like that, have all gotten these really family-friendly versions of all these superheroes and stuff like that.
Mm.
And yeah, I think.
So Brennan, with everything Nate just said, if I say this to you, tell me how you take it. That the success or failure in the MCU might very well depend on if they screw up Daredevil, based on
Yep.
everything Nate just said.
Um,
Because we know what it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
right.
We know
And
what it was.
He got down on Netflix. He get.
Okay.
I feel like that's actually a valid point because, especially when now that you have something that's already been established, if you don't do it justice, it could be backfire to you. Like, it could be something that's like just detrimental to you. Like, it's not something that's like the first time of doing something. Like, you're recreating something that's already been
With the same character.
not the same character. Yeah.
No,
So
no, with the same character. They used.
with the same
Yeah,
character.
with Daredevil. Yeah, with the same guy from the Netflix
Same
series.
thing, Charlie Cox.
Right. You're right. Yeah. So, it could make or break whether or not like people stay loyal to Marvel or not. I mean, like they're always gonna have that brand. Like I feel like they're just like Apple now. Like I feel like they could put out like subpar content and like people will probably still watch it, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there has to be like a breaking point where people kind of just totally start to fall off. Like I don't know. Like maybe it's Daredevil, maybe it's Secret Invasion. Maybe it's
They're getting. I feel
don't
like
know
they're
what-
getting into
what
arcs
the-
where they
the
have
is.
to take the like. I hate to say it. You have to start taking like the kind of like the family friendly gloves off. You can't start doing like Secret Invasion,
Also, I'll be right
Secret
back,
War. No problem. But you can't just start doing Secret War, Secret Invasion, and stuff like that, and then like we're also going to try to keep it all. Every last one of these series, like super family friendly. You can't. There's no way.
I agree. I mean, I think we talked about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and the concept that was essentially supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
Supposed to be scary. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be for kids or a younger audience, and that wasn't the case. I'll be honest with you. I'm not concerned with Kang. I'm not concerned with whatever. You know what I mean? I think there was one concern on how they were going to do Black Panther, and as far as the respect and sensitivity that they needed to do that story with, and still have a dope movie. I thought they did that. Other than that, man, I'm terrified when it comes to Daredevil. I am terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified.
I talked to Dylan about it too.
I am terrified. If that's the case, why bring back Charlie Cox? If you're not
Yeah.
going to do it, if you're not going to do Daredevil, why'd you bring him back? If you're not going to do the Kingpin that we know from Daredevil, why'd you bring back Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yeah, why bring the characters back to make them different characters?
Right. Like I didn't really like him when he had like the flower shirt. I'm like, he don't even wear that kind of shit. Like, what is he? Until he picked up old girl and threw her across the room.
No, he
You
do
know.
that. He do that. He do that.
But that's, and I know we're going back and forth between series and movies, but I'm just kind of, if there's a series that Marvel cannot afford to mess up, it's Daredevil. I honestly think if they screw that up, man, that fan base or whatever, they could lose a large part of it. That loyalty, that trust.
They start going down that DC path. That's a hard
Right.
path. It's a hard path to come back from.
Right. And they need to stop killing their villains. They need to stop killing their villains. I was so glad. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So glad they didn't kill the villain in Wakanda Forever. I'm pissed they killed Gore. Because he's a formidable villain. He legitimizes the role of a hero. You know what I mean? You trip, stumble, you fall, you fail the first time. It's funny you said you were talking to Dylan. I was talking to Dylan. I was like, the reason Thanos works so well as a villain is because this is not a hard concept. The good guy has to lose. To make him, that's the only way you make a superhero connect with human beings, regular folk with us. They have to face adversity. They have to.
For sure.
So you can't keep killing off all the damn villains. Can't. Where's the diversity at? Where's it at?
Yeah.
One cool thing that I saw in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness was that Scarlet Witch was kind of giving it to him. Like he really couldn't do much with it.
Yeah, that is true.
He wasn't. He was one version of Doctor Strange. It could be argued that other versions of Doctor Strange would, you know what I mean. But in that movie, he was giving like that's what would. Hey, you know what I mean? That's how we connect. Um,
Also, another thing. Speaking of Doctor Strange, don't mean to cut you off, Chris, but
oh, come on.
uh, I think you'll appreciate this one, Nate. But like, maybe I'm not letting like Marvel like dive into this. I'm not, like I'm being a little impatient, but like, is that all we see of the Darkhold? Like, is that just it? Like,
Yeah,
is
I'll be pretty disappointed if that's like just the end of it.
do we not see anything more of that, or is that just it? You know what I mean? Like, will we see Wanda show up again somewhere, or
I mean,
like,
some of this stuff, all this stuff really does tie into the concept of the multiverse in different dimensions. That's why I'm saying they've like kicked open all these doors.
right?
Gods, um, the different cosmic characters, the like you've kicked open all these doors, and it's just like, where are we going with this shit?
Yeah, it's like
That's why I compared it to the Infinity Stones, because you knew piece by piece where this was leading to.
We gonna get from Thanos.
You got cosmic characters, you got gods, you got multiversal characters. Like now, granted, if they pull this off and are able to tie off each one of these, and hopefully they don't tie them off, that's a bad expression. But if they're able to, somehow tie in the the Eternals with Cthulhu, with I don't know, Doctor Doom, Molecule Man. Maybe that's what Secret Wars is. Like I don't know. But where we're at right now, I don't see a clear path to where any of this shit's going.
I don't even see how
like-
they get to the Beyond or something like that for some Secret Wars or Doctor. Don't.
Do you guys feel like they should be a little bit more micro? Do you feel like they should, I don't know, dial back the multiversal stuff? Do you feel like, or do you feel like they do a better job?
I don't know
explain
if you can now. I don't. It's a cool concept, but I mean, it just opens up so many doors, and it's just like, okay, we're just gonna pick this one story and tell it. Like no, like there's so much other things to do, and I mean, I think they're out there now. They're out there, and the water's getting deep. You got to make sense of this. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to make sense of it now. It's on them. I do wish, and I want to kind of get back to DC for a second, but I do wish there was more ground and depth and scope. And I'm not asking necessarily for an origin story, but like, not really sure how to tie this in, but like, that Todd Phillips Joaquin Phoenix Joker, to me, is the best thing DC's done in a long time. Not counting the CW stuff, right? But it's its own single story contained. And I know they're making a sequel. I don't really agree with it because I think they should have just left it alone. It should have just been a story.
Oh, they're gonna mess it up.
You know what I mean? That's my fear too. That's my fear too. Okay.
Oh, it ain't a fear.
It's a reality. Maybe Marvel just does. You know what I mean? If you just want to give us a story about the multiverse, you want to give us a story about the Beyonders, you want to give us a story about, then do it. Give us a story. But don't give us this, man, this is going to lead into this. They did something really, really cool with the Peggy Carter story. I don't know if you guys remember that series.
Mm-hmm.
And again, here I go again talking about stories. Yes, there was some. It took place right after essentially Steve Rogers went to the ice. But it was her story. It
Right.
was her story. It really. I mean, yeah, you get to meet Jarvis. You see Howard Stark. Cool. We know all these names, but it's its own story. It was just do that.
But it's
Don't
interesting.
connect it. Don't give us that hope that it connects. You know what I mean?
For sure.
If you want to tell a story, tell a story. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Not
But I
everything
feel-
has to connect. Not everything has to kind of give us this sort of where the hell is this shit going kind of feeling. I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I feel like maybe that's what they're missing from back in the day. Like, I don't know, they just telling the story of the character. You know what I mean?
Tell a story.
Like, just do it solo. Do it solo. I feel like they just always try to cause a splash, and like with all the characters that they can put in it, and like, oh my gosh, look at this. Like, just do a character about just that person, like on just that person and the people that they interact with. Like, don't throw in the Illuminati with Doctor Strange and Wanda and this and that. Like, I'm only referencing that because it just felt like I was watching like an all-star game. Like, it just felt like they were just throwing as many like top NBA players as they possibly could on one team and just like hope that it goes well. Like, I don't know, like that's personally, you know what I mean? So it's just like go back to like Iron Man, where like Iron Man and like Rhodey were like the only characters in the movie. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, you don't gotta have like all the star-studded cast and like, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Like, that's more interesting to me. Like you said, Chris, like just tell a story about one character, origin or not. You know?
Okay, so I think all three of us will agree with this. Phase 4, there were some bright spots.
Yeah, Loki was a good show.
I
We're
don't
on there forever.
know, and I don't really care to see this character ever again. I don't really care to see this character ever again. It was a story. Yeah, they kind of sprinkled in some stuff here. Didn't really need to. But the story was so damn good itself that it just like Shang-Chi.
I loved it. I love that movie. That was Chris. We always talk about this. That was the last good Marvel movie.
That
Outside
movie,
of Black, that movie was beautiful.
that movie might end up in like my top 5.
Same.
That movie might end up in my top 5. That movie is great.
I go based off of ranking Marvel movies if it's like rewatchable for me, and I've definitely rewatched it like 3 times for sure. Very good.
Like I said, if they just want to because I mean, I have a feeling that like, and I said something earlier, and I'm going to retract that statement. I'm just going to add to it. I said the success or failure of the MCU might hinge on Daredevil. It's going to hinge on Daredevil. It's also going to hinge on Blade. And it's going to hinge on whatever the hell they're doing with the X-Men. Because I don't see how they fit that in unless Marvel's slated for like phase 28. Like, we're going to do 28 phase. Look, I don't see how they do this. Like, I don't. I mean, they still have to do the X-Men, Brendan.
What do you say? Say it again.
They still have to do the X-Men. They still have to do the X-Men. Like, how does it fit in? And then what story are they going to tell? Wolverine versus Sabretooth? Hulk 181? Like, what are they going to do?
I don't know. You know,
You still have to do Fantastic Four.
They do have to do the Fantastic Four. They do.
Like,
They have it works.
I don't see a clear cut path just because I think so many doors are open. Whereas for 10 years, the only door was open. We're moving towards Infinity War. We're moving towards the Infinity Gauntlet. But I do think if they want to tell a story, just tell a story. It doesn't have to necessarily connect. We don't have to see that character come back.
I agree. Like if I were like in the Marvel like meeting room or whatever for these decisions, frankly, I would just be like, kill all the stuff that connects right now. Honestly, like let's focus on like the character development, like of just one character. Like I don't know, like for example, I liked Hawkeye. I really liked. I loved Kate Bishop, and I loved seeing can't remember her name off the top of my head, but Black Widow's like sister,
Yelena Belova, yeah.
yeah, like just do like something like with that, like they're cool characters, like you introduce them, like cool, like just do something on them, or just do something on just Blade, like just do Blade the movie, like come up with that first. Like I understand like the whole Skrulls and Nick Fury, but honestly, I just don't even want to see that right now. I'm being completely honest. Like I just like just start with something, like just have a character and it just be that character and just explore them in depth. Like we don't have to see like the Fantastic Four, or X-Men. I don't want to see them for a while, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just I feel like they just gotten like all the first couple movies that led into the Infinity War saga were all introductions of like Thor and Iron Man and Captain America, and like just diving into just them. And I feel like they need to get back to that, honestly. Just go pivot back to what it was. And looking at Phase 5, it just doesn't really feel like that's what they're doing, obviously. Like, it's just going to have like, I mean, other than they have a couple things. They have like the Agatha series. They have like, small little like, they have Ironheart and all that. But I don't know. That's kind of what I feel like is just missing a little bit. But
Nate, let's kind of start to wrap up here. What are some of your final thoughts, disappointments, maybe even some things you hope that to see, not just in Marvel, DC, maybe comic book adaptation series. You like the series better than the movies? Do you want more series? Do you want more movies? Like kind of give me your final thoughts.
All right. So in terms of some more final thoughts here for me, I feel like DC's obviously in a reboot state with James Gunn. I like James Gunn in terms of his directing style and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do, but I'm always skeptical with DC. So for me right now, it's like I'm just curious to see some James Gunn released content here.
Can I ask a question? Does the DC EU, what's more important? Is it this Flashpoint movie that's supposedly going to reset everything? Is you think it's as important as people say it is, or do you think it's just a foregone conclusion? James Gunn he's redoing the whole shit. This Flash movie means nothing.
So yeah, the Flash movie means pretty much nothing to me because like James Gunn didn't produce it. This was already like in production and stuff like that before James Gunn. So like the only thing this Flash movie has to do for me at this point in time is give James Gunn a clean slate for the shit he's going forward with.
Okay, cool.
That's all it needs to do. It only has nothing else.
Okay. What else you got? What other final thoughts you got?
Other than that, on the Marvel side of things, Marvel obviously like they have a lot of shit going on here, like a bunch of shit. For them, I would just rather than one tighten up some of these shows, stop releasing shows every month, and spend more more time actually improving the quality of said show than trying to go quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't really have too many movies that I'm actually super excited about at the moment.
Wow. What is the next Marvel movie coming out? Help me out. Was Ant-Man? I'm assuming there's something coming out this spring or summer. I mean, what the hell?
I don't even know at the moment.
if that's the case, that's a quick turnaround for a Marvel movie.
Well, they normally do something in the wintertime, and
they do, but they usually do something in the summer and then December or like November. That's usually like their time.
Okay.
They would have May, and then maybe June, and then like December would be like the next one. Like and Ant-Man just came out like last month?
Yeah, February.
So if they come around to come out one in May or June, like that's a quick turnaround. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm like they usually always.
Let me actually see though, because what is the next Marvel movie? I really don't know. I really don't know. Guardians, maybe.
Oh, it might be. It might be Guardians actually.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy. Sorry.
It is Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely watch that movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I mean, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse isn't even from Marvel though, technically.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna watch that one. I am excited about that. But yeah, I mean, it ain't part of the MCU.
What is the Marvels? What is that? Is that a sequel to Captain Marvel?
It's gonna
I
be
think
about
so.
like Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel and probably Kamala Khan, like because they all have like the same similar type of power and abilities.
Interesting.
I don't think that's a movie, but I think it's a series.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I mean, just to kind of button things up, just talking with both of you, there's a lot of, I think, you know, just that character development that we once had isn't there on the Marvel side, and there's not a whole lot of continuity from the stories. And I think as fans, we're trying to figure out how this connects, and maybe it doesn't. So I think maybe just doing one-offs. Just you want to tell a story about a character, you want to introduce a character, then do it. You know what I mean? And then decide what you want to do with them. Nate, I think you made a great point earlier as far as what audience they're trying to attract. And I think there is a mature audience that needs to be brought back in from the Invincible series, The Boys,
Mainly
Peacemaker,
because the mature audiences
uh, the
are the ones who
Netflix
actually spend
series.
money on movies.
Yeah. I I don't. I mean, not all this stuff should be for kids. Let's just call it. I know Disney owns everything, but not all this stuff should be for kids. Um, you know, and DC, and we've kind of had these conversations before, but I just think, again, if they're going to do a one-off story and make it really, really good, cool. I'm interested. The Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix Joker, cool. It looked different, it felt different, it was different. You know, um, take the character in a different direction. Um, and what I've always said is, there's a plethora of DC characters that are just sitting there waiting for somebody to tell their story. There's a million of them. I mean, maybe literally a million of them. Pick them. Get away from your big Justice League powerhouse. That shit is done. That shit is overcooked. That shit is weak. Like, you can't do much more with them. And quite frankly, the formula, you take a John Cena and make him Peacemaker, and that series gets rave reviews, and people are asking me, Chris, who the fuck is Peacemaker? I don't know, who is he? But I'll watch it because it was done well. So there's I think some success to have for DC with this new character. I've been saying it for years. You know, introduce somebody new who we don't know and invest in them. Take us on a journey with them. Um, but I mean, I don't know if this talk made any of us feel any better. Like, I don't know if I don't know if we're
Oh no.
looking forward
Not,
to
Eh,
anything.
not feeling good.
You know what I
Not
mean?
at all.
I don't know if we came out of this feeling better or worse. You know what I mean? But
I
I
mean, I'm
think
enjoying Mandalorian, so I mean, there's some positive things happening in the world.
okay,
So
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, like, it's a weird universe when Star Wars is up right now compared to the other two right now for me.
truth.
yeah,
Star Wars,
But Star Wars doesn't release movies anymore, so they got that advantage.
yeah, you're right.
that's
It's been
don't.
They've been
about
it's been
2
almost 20
decades.
years since it's been like 20 years since they released the movie. It's been a
Um,
while.
God, this is so sick.
but like I said, I'm sure we're not the only ones that feel this way. And I think as fans, we want to feel better about where we're headed. We're just not. So, you guys, tell us what you guys think. You know what I mean? Leave us a comment. Leave us your opinion. Where you think, not just Marvel or DC, but just kind of like what's happened over the last maybe 2-3 years, and what's kind of maybe watered down some of these characters and maybe kind of caused us to lose that feeling of investment that we once were, or just kind of bought in, or that faith. And really, what would restore your faith? And I think that's a fair question to ask. What would restore your faith in these movies? But I'll shut up there. Nate, Brennan, take us home.
All right, guys. Once again, we always appreciate y'all sticking through and watching the videos. Please like,
Indeed, we do.
subscribe, so that we can work on getting some more of these out. We're gonna obviously, like I said, work on trying to be more consistent here.
For sure.
Thank y'all,
For sure.
and y'all have a good night.